نرزقكم منه وقولوا لهم قولا معروف وليخشى الذين لو تركوا من خلفهم ذرية ضعافا خافوا عليهم فليتقوا الله وليقولوا قولا سديدا إن الذين يأكلون أموال اليتامى ظلما إنما يأكلون في بطونهم نارا وسيصلون سعيرا يوصيكم الله في أولادكم للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين وإن كن نساء فوق اثنتين فلهن ثلاث ما ترك وإن كانت واحدة فلها النصف وبالبغي لكل واحد منهما السدس مما ترك إن كان له ولد فإن لم يكن له ولد ووارثه أبواه فلأمه الثلث فإن كان له إخوة فلأمه السدس من بعد وصية يوصي بما أو دين آباؤكم وأبناؤكم لا تدرون أيكم أقرب لكم نفعا فريضة من الله إن الله كان عليما حكيما ولكم نصف ما ترك أزواجكم إن لم يكن لكم ولد فإن كان لهن ولد فلكم ربع مما تركن من بعد وصية يوصي بما أو دين ولكن الربع بما تركتم إن لم يكن لكم ولد وإن كان لكم ولد فلهن الثمن مما تركتم من بعد وصية توصون بما أو دين وإن كان رجلا يرثى كلالة أو امرأة وله أخ أو أخت فلكل واحد منهما السدس فإن كانوا أكثر من ذلك فهم شركاء في الثلث من بعد وصية بما أو دين غير مضار وصية من الله والله عليم حليم تلك حدود الله ومن يؤتي الله ورسوله يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وذلك الفوز العظيم ومن يعص الله ورسوله ويتعدى حدوده يدخله نارا خالدا فيها وله عذاب مهين والتي يأتين الفاحشة من نسائكم فاستشهدوا عليهم أربعة منكم فإن شاهدوا فأمسكوهن في البيوت حتى يتوفاهن الموت أو يجعل الله لهن سبيلا والذي يأتينهم منكم فأضاعوها فإن تابا وأصلحا فأعرضوا عنهما إن الله كان توابا رحيما إنما التوبة على الله للذين يعملون السوء بجهالة ثم يتوبون من قريب أولئك يتوب الله عليهم وكان الله عليما حكيما وليست التوبة للذين يعملون السيئات حتى إذا حضر أحدهم الموت قال إني تبت الآن ولا الذين يموتون وهم كفار أولئك أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يحل لكم أن تسارقوا النساء كرها ولا تعضلوهن لتذهبوا ببعض ما آتيتموهن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وعاشروهن بالمعروف فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا وإن أردتم استبدال زوج مكان زوج وآتيتم إحداهن قنطارا فلا تأخذوا منه شيئا أتأخذونه بهتانا وإثما مبينا وكيف تأخذونه وقد أفضى بعضكم إلى ببعض وأخذنا منكم ميثاقا غليظا ولا تنكحوا ما نكح آباؤكم من النساء إلا ما قد سلف إنه كان فاحشة ومقتا وساء سبيلا حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وعماتكم وخالاتكم وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت وأمهاتكم التي أرضعنكم آباؤكم وأخواتكم من الرضاعة وأمهات نسائكم وربائبكم التي في حجوركم من نسائكم التي دخلتم بهن فإن لم تكونوا دخلتم بهن فلا جناح عليكم حلائل أبنائكم الذي من أصلابكم وأن تجمعوا بين الأختين إلا ما قد سلف إن الله كان غفورا رحيما. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
درود بر آل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
नारा तकबीर,
अल्लाहु अकबर,
नारा तकबीर,
अल्लाहु अकबर,
नारा रिसालत,
या रसूलल्लाह,
नारा रिसालत,
या रसूलल्लाह,
हकदा इमाम नारा हैदरी,
या अली,
हकदा इमाम नारा हैदरी,
या अली.
दुरूद बर आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद.
اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبوها وبعالها وبنوها وسر المستودع فيها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين وخير خلق الله الأجمعين أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيت النبوة ومعادن الرسالة. يا أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficial, the most merciful, dear brothers, sisters, children, elderly, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It is so nice for me to be in your presence here today, to see such pure faces sitting in front of me, and I feel honored, truly honored that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me an opportunity to address you, dear brothers and sisters, today, and May Allah reward the service that Sister Samina, Brother Mohsin and the elderly here are doing in order to cultivate the next generation. This is true jihad, and may Allah, inshallah, in the times that we are living, this is true jihad, and may Allah reward you for it in abundance, inshallah. Please recite us loud salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
My brother Abbas has been, Sayyid-e-abbas for sure, has been with you for the last few nights, so I had a chance to speak to him about what he has been talking to you guys about, and he has told me that he's been speaking to you guys about Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. So I want to continue on a similar sort of topic, however, about another Imam, but in a very similar way, because if you're aware, on Wednesday is the martyrdom of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. So seeking that it is so close, I wanted to speak certain things about Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Ali ibn Hussain, and then also why am I linking it to Imam Zaman? Inshallah, we'll talk about that in a second as well. So I've been told to make it as interactive as I can, rather than a lecture based, which inshallah we can go for. So if you want to pick your hands up, that'll make it easier, or I'll start picking on you. Yeah? Okay. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, I mentioned already, his name is Imam Ali alayhi salam, right? He is the son of which Imam? Imam Hussain alayhi salam. How many sons did Imam Hussain have? Anyone? Whilst the sister is counting? Go on. 3. Good. Go on. 3. So these are the most famous known, right? 3. So you're right and you are right as well. However, recently I've been reading there's actually one more. So who are the 3? So who is the eldest son? If I'm not mistaken? Ali Akbar alayhi salam. Yeah. So Akbar means big. There's a famous saying from Imam Hussain alayhi salam that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to give me 1,000 sons, I would name them all Ali. If he was to give me 1,000 daughters, I would name them all Fatima. This is the love that Imam Hussain alayhi salam had with Imam Ali and Hazrat Fatima. But one thing to bear in mind is that it's not just because he loves his parents and it's because it's his parents that he loves them. No, what was Imam Ali? He was the wilayat. It was the divine leadership, right? So the love of Imam comes before the love of anybody else. We must love Imam Mahdi more than we love our brother, more than we love our mom, more than we love our sister. Imam Mahdi's love first, and then everybody else's love. So when Imam Hussain is speaking in such loving terms about Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Hazrat Fatima, we shouldn't just look at it through the lens of, oh, this is just a parental or a child love, right? This is because his love for Allah, and through that his love for prophethood, and through prophethood his love for wilaya, which means divine leadership, which we know as the Imam. So recently I read there is 4. The Hazrat Ali Akbar, you said number 1, that's the eldest son. Second son, who was he? Anyone? That was the first one. So Ali Akbar, Ali means Ali, obviously, and Akbar means big. So Imam Ali, Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam was the first one. Who was number 2?
Ali Asghar.
Okay, so he's named the third one, which is Ali Asghar, which means small. Asghar means small in Arabic, so he's the third son. So there's the middle one. She's had a hand up for the most, so I will come to her. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. May you recite salutations upon Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Exactly. So Imam Zain al-Abidin was the middle son of Hazrat Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Does anyone know who Imam Zain al-Abidin's mum was? Any takers? Bismillah, brother.
Bibi Shehbano.
Bibi Shehbano. Excellent. Anyone knows anything about the background of Hazrat Shehbano? Little bit? Little bit? What if I told you that she was a princess? an actual living, not Disney, not fairy tale, actual living princess. She was the daughter of the last king of Persia. Before Persia was conquered, the last Sassanid king, the daughter of this king, she was called Bibi Shahbanu. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam, so Imam Ali, when the prisoners were brought, this lady embraced Islam, and Imam Ali alayhi salam married this lady who is known to be a very, very pious lady. You know, you don't bore children who become divine leaders if you don't have purity inside. Now this lady was not born Muslim, right? She wasn't born Muslim, but she had so much purity that when she embraced Islam, Allah thought it befitting to put divine leadership in her son. These things need really focus and reflection. So Bibi Shahbanu bore a child by the name of Ali ibn al-Hussain alayhi salam, the son of Imam Hussain with Bibi Shahbanu, who was a princess of, where did I say she was a princess of? Go on, the sister next to her. Where? Persia. Persia is modern day what? What is the country now which is Persia? Iran. So modern day Iran, she was a princess of modern day Iran. Yeah? Okay. Unfortunately, when Hazrat Zainabia alayhi salam was born, they say that his physicality was a bit tame, and he was born slightly on the thinner side. And this maybe was things of signs to come, because what we know of Hazrat Zain al-Abidin is the sorrows that he had in his life. These were signs from Allah showing what are times to come. And the first sorrow that he had was unfortunately the passing away of his mother when he was still a very, very young baby. So when he was young, his mother caught a fever, and unfortunately Allah brought her soul back. And now Imam Zain al-Abidin is without a mother. What I have read is that Imam Hussain alayhi salam assigned a lady to take care of Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Ali ibn al-Hussain, but they didn't tell him that his mom had passed away. So he found out much later. And Imam Zain al-Abidin, who is the son of the best of characteristics, of the best of people, right? His character was so great, he showed so much reverence, so much respect to this lady who basically groomed him, who helped him getting up. Wasn't his real mother? That they asked him, he used to eat with everybody, but he stopped eating with this lady. Can you imagine why? Why would you stop eating with your mom in place of your mom? Why would you stop eating with them? Go on. MashaAllah. Very good. Very good. So sister said, because if she hasn't eaten, then it's not right for you to eat before your parents. Yeah? So what did Imam Zain al-Abidin? People asked him, why do you not eat with your in place of your mother? Why don't you eat with her? Do you know what he replied? He goes, because I am afraid that I might look at something or reach out to something on the plate that she might have wanted. This is the akhlaq, the ethics, the practice, the character of Imam Zain al-Abidin. If this is Imam Zain al-Abidin, who is the biggest of leaders, look, he's the future Imam, and he's the son of a princess on one hand, and he's the son of the prince of heaven on the other hand. Now if he has so much humility for his, not even his mother, someone in place of his mother, then how should we be to our parents? Yeah? These are lessons we need to take. These are not just stories. Yeah? Okay, so that was the first unfortunate circumstance that Imam Zain al-Abidin had to face. Do you know where Imam Zain al-Abidin was born? Any ideas? Any takers? Medina? Okay. Hands up if you think it's Medina. One hand up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Some narrations say it's Medina. Okay. Other narrations say it's Kufa. According to research I've read, I think that Kufa is more accurate. And the reason why is because Imam Zainabia alayhi salam, for the first 2 years of his life, the Imam of his time was who? Imam Hussain? Imam Ali alayhi salam, his grandfather. So Imam Zainal Abidin was actually born at the time when the Caliph of the Muslimin was who? Amirul Mu'min, the only Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, the only leader of the Mu'minin, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Okay? So for the first 2 years of his life, he was under the leadership of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the best of leaders after the Prophet. Now, obviously we know that the whole Ahl Bayt moved with Imam Ali to Kufa. So that's why we think he was born in Kufa. Okay. The second unfortunate thing that Imam Zainal Abidin saw in his life, at the age of 2 years old, I don't know if you remember, anyone here who's 2 years old? Anyone two? Who's 2 years old? Or 3 years old here? Anyone here 3 years old? 4 years old? I think the sister there maybe. Now, some people, remember I was with my friends a few days ago and they were saying they had some memories of when they were 2 years old and they were telling us stories that their parents confirmed. Now, Imam Zainal Abidin, the point of that I'm trying to make is, the second musibah that Imam Zainal Abidin saw was the sword on the head of his beloved grandfather, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. He saw the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam. For the next 10 years of his life, he was under the divine leadership of who? Who was the next Imam after Imam Ali? Imam Hassan alayhi salam. How many years did Imam Hassan remain an Imam before he got killed? Any idea?
About 10 years.
About 10 years. Very, very good. So Imam Hassan's leadership was about 10 years. Again, today's not the topic of Imam Hassan, but the Mazlumiyat, the oppression that our Imam Hassan went through, Imam Zainal Abidin alayhi salam is seeing all of the oppression, the traitorship of people of the Muslim world, the wars, the lies, the cursing of his grandfather. Imam Zainal Abidin as a young child is seeing all of these. Can you see what sort of character Imam Zainal Abidin is seeing? Right? What kind of life he is living? Yet, he was never ungrateful. Never. We'll come on to that in a second. Okay. So 10 years of his leadership, divine leadership, Imam Hassan, Imam Zainal Abidin was there and he was learning from Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Now 10 years after Imam Ali passed away, what happened to Imam Hassan? He got poisoned. And which city was he in? Medina. Imam Hassan alayhi salam got poisoned. And Imam Hussain became the Imam afterwards. Now how many years was it from Imam Hussain, from Imam Hassan getting poisoned to Karbala? Gone? 2 years? Any takers on top of that? 2 years?
Another 10 actually.
Another 10, exactly. 10 years. Another 10 years Imam Hussain, right? So for another 10 years, I like the fact that you are answering and you're engaging. So well done. Don't feel bad at all. This is how we learn. I was known in my school as the person who asks the most questions. They actually gave me a reward. In college they said, Miss, can I ask another question? They actually made a reward for that, just as a joke. But because, we are Shia, right? We are Muslim first and then we are the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Who are the Ahlul Bayt? Peak of knowledge. If you don't understand something, are you just, I'm going to be embarrassed, or I'm going to look really stupid, let's go. What will happen if you don't understand something in school and then move on? Go on. You didn't learn. So whose problem is it now? My problem. Why should the teachers want people who want to ask questions? Yeah, don't ask stupid questions. But is there anything like a stupid question? I would say no, apart from the stupid question that the Imam got. Right? There are some questions that Imam got. We'll talk about it if we have time. But there's no such thing as a stupid question. It depends on your intention of asking your question. Right? What makes a question stupid? Go on.
If you know the answer.
No, it's your intention. If my intention is to ridicule my teacher, who the Islam says is at the level of your parents, then that's a stupid question. But if my intention is to learn, make sure you understand in school before you move on. Right? Okay, coming back to the topic. Right. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, 10 years. Okay? And now it comes to the time of Karbala. Right? After Karbala, any ideas of how long Imam Zainal stayed alive? 40 years? 20 years? In between there. 34, 35 years. So he was born on 38 AH after Hijri, and he died, he was martyred on 95 AH. Anyone knows the birthday of Imam Zainal Abidin, Islamic birthday? It's in Sha'ban. Take a guess. 5th Sha'ban. Okay, shall I ask you a question? What's his martyrdom? When did he get killed? I said to you it's on Wednesday. What Islamic date is it on Wednesday? Islamic date, Safar will start soon, but we're still in Muharram. On Wednesday we're still in Muharram. What Islamic date is it? No? 25th. He passed away on the 25th of Muharram, 95 AH. Okay. Anyone knows what Imam, so Imam Ali is, we have all our A'immah, right? So my name is Kazmi, right? But was that the name of the Imam? No. It was, what was Imam Kazim's name? Musa. Yeah? His name was Musa. He was named after the Prophet Musa, right? But what was he known by? And famously, even when you go to Iraq, Ziyarat now, the whole area is called Kazmiya, right? So these are, nickname is not the right word because nickname is done in an informal setting. Title, excellent. These were titles given. And so in the Arabian world, if for example, you have a child, you're known as, for example, the father of that person, right? It's a respect thing. Anyone knows any titles of Imam Ali ibn al-Hussain alayhi salam? Go on. Zainul Abidin. What does Zainul Abidin mean? Go on. I'm going to give the brother there a chance. Go on.
Beauty of the worshippers.
Ahsan. The adornment, the beauty of the worshippers. Why was Imam Zainul Abidin known as Zainul Abidin? Beautiful narration. Beautiful narration. Bismillah.
Because the angels saw him reading and
Ahsan.
they've never seen anybody do so much sajda and give so much.
Ahsan, yeah, very good. So at the time when he was alive, so your answer is correct, that they never saw anybody do so much worship. But that was at the time of his life. Nobody, yes, you're going to say something?
I'm going to say a different name of his is Sajjad.
Sajjad. That's also a name. Well then you're ahead of the class. So we'll come on to you in a second. But Zainul Abidin, at the time when he was alive, there was nobody whose worship came close. Nobody whose worship came close. It's narrated that he, at times in 24 hours, used to do 1,000 rak'ah. 1,000 rak'ah. Do you know Laylatul Qadr? Yeah? Laylatul Qadr is one of the nights in Ramadan, the night of power or destiny. Yeah? Very, very, very holy night. Yeah? The night when the Quran was revealed, etc. Now, one of the amal in Laylatul Qadr is to do 1,000 rak'ah. Yeah? Anyone done it? Do you know how difficult it is to do that? Imagine Imam Zainal Abidin, our Imam used to do, and he was very busy. It's not like he wasn't busy. He had to affairs of the Muslimin, he had to look, he had to work, he had to make money for his family, but 1,000 rak'ah. This is a beautiful narration. And it goes to the following lines, which it says that when he used to feel weakness, or when you're tired, when he used to feel a bit of tiredness coming on, he used to say, "Wow, I am feeling this tiredness, yet the ibadah of Zainul Abidin doesn't come as much as the ibadah of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam." Imam Ali, his willpower, his servitude to Allah. I just told you 1,000 rak'ah. And imagine what Imam Ali alayhi salam used to do. Okay, so he's known as Zainul Abidin. It's also narrated that he's known as Zainul Abidin because this is what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called him. One day, Hazrat Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, a very, 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 very good companion of Rasulullah. He lived for a very long life. You know Hadith Qissa? We read it all the time at weddings and home and before Majlis. It was narrated by this companion. Now, he was sitting with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and Imam Hussain came into the Masjid. And the Prophet took Imam Hussain, he played with him a little bit, and told Jabir that this Hussain alayhi salam, he will have a son, and his name will be Ali ibn al-Hussain, and he will be known as Zain al-Abidin because of his worship. He will be known as this, right? Okay, another name, you mentioned it, Sajjad. Why was he known as Sajjad? Anyone? Apart from my favorite student? Anyone? You said it, go on. Why is he known as Sajjad?
Because the Mount he did.
Exactly, ahassan. So the Sajjad is the one, who prostration. Sajda. So he used to do so many sajda. Whenever he prayed, he did do sajda. Whenever a bala, whenever a problem he had and it got diverted, he used to do sajda. Whenever anything good happened, he would do sajda. Whenever he was afraid, he would do sajda. Now there's another name very closely linked to Sajjad in terms of meaning, but I'll be very surprised if you get this. Do you know what that is? Another title? Sayyid al-Sajidin. Very good, clever, very good. That means the leader of the Sajidin. That's also a title, but that's not the one I was thinking about. Another one. I'll give it you, this is a hard one. It's called Duw Park. Does that ring a bell? What does it mean? Or why is he known as that?
I don't really remember.
You don't remember. It's okay. It's a difficult one. I have to read it up as well. Okay? Duw Park. But once I tell you what it means, you'll remember it forever. He was known as Duw Park because what you said, he did so many sajdas, that once a year he used to take a equipment, a knife or a scissor, and he used to cut callus. You know callus? Have you seen people who go to the gym? Have you seen their hands? That's called a callus. When it becomes thick, you've used it so many times, you've done something so many times, because of the friction, it becomes very, very hard. Elderly people, they have on their feet, if you look at your grandparents, they have calluses on their feet mostly or somebody who's been working all day. If your dad's been working there all day, mom's been working all day, if you look at their feet, sometimes they become very, very hard. Yeah? So you need to take care of them. Okay? Coming back, Duw Park means, so he used to form calluses on the places where he used to do sajda. How many places do we do sajda on? 7. What are they? Forehead, two palms,
knees,
2 knees, toes. Excellent. Jazakallah. So he used to get calluses. Do you know how many calluses he used to take off in a year? Each time when he used to do it? 5 calluses. 5 calluses he used to remove. And it's also narrated that when he used to remove these calluses, he used to store it, and he asked his children when they bury him, they bury these calluses with him. Right? He was known as Duw Park. Okay, another name he was known as is very similar to the name of the Prophet. What was it? Al-Amin. What does that mean? Al-Amin, the trustworthy. It's narrated that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, even if the killer of my father, so the one who killed Imam Hussain, if he gives me his sword with which he killed Imam Hussain as a amana, I would return it to him. Imagine. This is how trustworthy we need to be as Muslims. Now in our dealing in school, in our dealing in business, in our dealings, how easy is it for us to lie? Or big ourselves up. I got this, I got that, oh, you don't know what I did. How easily do we do that? Whereas our Imam, the person who killed his father, Imam saying, the person who killed my father, if he was to deposit his sword with me, I would return his sword. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Another name was Zaki, which means the one who does a lot of worship. pure. Not worship, it's very pure. And that is because the ayah in the Quran witnesses that the Ahlul Bayt were completely pure. Okay. I wanted to, the time is running out, mashallah, you guys have engaged so much that we talked that much. I'm going to make, this is when I was thinking what I really want to talk about. This is the point I really wanted to get across to you. So inshallah in the last 3-4 minutes I will let you know. Where are we sitting here? Do you know what it's called? Starts with M. But what is it? What's happening right now? Go on. Masjid, yeah, but what's it called? What we're having right? Majlis, ahassan. In Arabic it means to sit, right? It doesn't necessarily mean how we envisage it in Pakistani culture. It just means to sit. So it's a gathering happening, it's a majlis. Now, majlis in our sense, the way we imagine it, you know, crying for Imam Hussain and etc. Who started it? I heard it from Bibi Zainab and Imam Sajjad. Now, I'm not going into why and how, I'm not going into how he started it. I want to talk a bit about why he started it. And this is a point, inshallah, for our elders as well, inshallah, and myself first and foremost. What was the situation just at the time of Imam Sajjadiya's imamate? Was there a good situation, bad situation? Bad situation. Do you know what was happening to the Shias at the time of Imam Sajjad? Who was the caliph at the time of Imam Sajjad? For the first few years? Yazid. Do you know what atrocities he did? That was Karbala was the first atrocity he did. He did 2 more. In total he did 3 atrocities, Yazid. Karbala, number 2, anyone know? Medina. What did he do in Medina? He ransacked Medina. You talked about the second atrocity in that. He ransacked Medina. He literally asked his soldiers to come and assassinate anyone in Medina and do whatever they want. And I won't go into the atrocities that they did on this member. Number 2, he ransacked the Kaaba as well. So these are atrocities that the Muslim world had to face. Amongst this, and these are to the Muslims, right? What about the Shia? So if you come and say you're a Shia. At the time, I read a narration that, do you know how many Shias were known to be Shias at the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam? 0. Not that bad. 5 people. 5 people were known to be the closest comrades of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Right? Why was this? Now look at the huge mammoth task that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam has. The task started from Imam Hussain alayhi salam to guide people back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now so that's what's happened. Imam Hussain things that Karbala has happened. Now how do you take that task? Imam Sajjad had to unify all the Muslims, especially the Shia, which were, as they described, like, you know, when you break the tasbih, it's all over the place, the beads, he had to unify them. If you had to unify people, what is the best way to unify people? Is it through intellectual discussion? So if we have a discussion of philosophy right now, do you think everyone will come and partake in that? No. Some people are into it, some people are not into it. Some people are, oh, this is a bit boring, right? Okay, what about moment of happiness? You know, we have weddings in our community. Does everyone get an invite? No. Why? I don't know. But not everybody gets an invite. If I do a birthday party, my friends might get an invite, but you all might not, right? I'll call you Nohay. But you all might not, right? However, what happens if somebody dies and there's a janazah in the mosque? What happens? Open invite. Everyone's invited. In moments of sadness, tragedy, even if you see the politicians, remember when the bombing happened in Manchester? What did Manchester people do? All came together. All the different religions, they came together in city centre, right? In moments of tragedy, sadness, everyone comes together. You may not be talking to your brother, right? It happens. You may not be talking, this is not Islamic behavior, but unfortunately culturally it happens, right? Brothers don't talk to brothers for years. This is not Islamic practice, it's cultural practice. However, you may not talk to him. If his son gets married, you might not go to his wedding. But if something happens to him, like a tragedy, his son dies, something happens to him, you turn up to his house. Yes or no? This is the institution that Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam started to unify the Muslims of Imam Hussain and Islam. How did he start it? Did he do a big massive majalis and 100 million people came and he gave a majlis? No. You show by your actions. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam used to cry so much, that, for example, they say sometimes they used to bring water to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, and he used to cry so much that the water would get spoiled by the tears of Imam Sajjad. One day, he was walking in Medina, and he saw that somebody was about to butcher a sheep. And he said so what did people in Medina used to do? You know, when they used to do tasks like this, they used to hide away from the Imam, because he used to start crying, because they knew what happened to Imam, right? But what happened in this situation? Imam Sajjad said to the butcher, have you gave this sheep water? The sheep said, yeah. The butcher said, yeah. We are the followers of the religion of your grandfather, and it is in the religion that you have to give water to the sheep. He looked towards Karbala and he said, oh my father, look at the religion, look at this world. Even sheep had the opportunity to have water, yet you were killed thirsty. This was Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. He cried so much. 34, 35 years of his life he cried. And at the end, all of our Imams, they were all killed. The only Imam that's not been killed is who? Go on. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So you vow to yourself that you will never let Imam Mahdi be killed. Our generation is on us to protect our Imam. Yes? So inshallah we ask Allah to give us the tawfiq to protect our Imam. All of them had been killed. Same with Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. Do you know who killed him? Do you know how he was killed? Poison. And do you know who killed him? Go on.
Somebody put it in his
In drink. But you know on whose order?
Was it a girl?
It wasn't a girl. That was Imam Hassan. Who killed him? The Caliph of the time? Any idea?
Yazid.
No, Yazid is the successor of Yazid.
Yazid's son.
He was a good guy. It was Walid ibn Abdul Malik. Why did they kill Imam? And this is my last point. I think Salah's time is now, so this is my last point. Why did they kill Imam Zaman? Imam Zaman of the time, but Imam Ali ibn Hussain. Go on.
Because they didn't like it, because they were tyrants.
They were tyrants. It's because the influence of Imam Ali ibn Hussain, even though he stayed very, very quiet, the influence had become so much. I'll give you one example of it and we'll end the majlis. Not Walid ibn Abdul Malik, his brother. When he was a crown prince, he went to Hajj. Now what happens in Hajj? Everyone's wearing the same thing, everyone's looking the same. And now if you go to Hajj, you'll get a few upper hooks and stuff like that. But at that time it wasn't that bad. But still you couldn't reach Hajar al-Aswad, which is a black stone. Everyone wants to kiss the Hajar al-Aswad. Long story, but everyone wants to kiss Hajar al-Aswad. Now, this crown prince wanted to go near it. No one was letting him in. So he got tired and he went and sat on a higher level to see what's going on. All of a sudden he sees a parting of people. Everyone's just going out the way. A young person comes to Hajar al-Aswad, kisses it and walks back. There was a poet next to him by the name of Farazda. And so this crown prince asked Farazda, who is this that they are doing? And he made a poetic line saying basically that he is the son of the Prophet, the son of Fatima, the son of Ali. His name is Ali ibn Hussain alayhi salam, Zain al-Abidin. And this crown prince didn't like that, got the poet in prison and killed, and he eventually died as well. Now inshallah we'll end the majlis here. I'm very impressed with the way you guys have interacted. May Allah, I can see that you guys have the enthusiasm to learn. The main thing I'll tell you is that this majalis that we have, This majalis that we have is the institution started by Imams Ali ibn Hussain, Zainabia and Hazrat Zainab, and it is the most effective Islamic education that we receive now. How many people go to Hausa or an Islamic university, or even go to Sunday school or a madrasa after the age of 10, 15, 16? No one. But this institution of majalis is the only thing that we have left, and it needs to be protected. What comes from this member needs to be protected, because this is your education. As a doctor, my job is a doctor. If I give you fake medicine, what will happen to you? You'll die. But if I give you fake spirituality, what will happen to you? You won't just die in this world. In the world that is never going to end, there's going to be only and only loss over there. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها وعدد ما أحاط به علمه. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. اللهم اجعل قلبي مع محمد سارا وعيشي قارا ورزقي دارا وأولادي مارا واجعل إلى قبر نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم مستقرا وقرارا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط شريك له اللهم سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته لكم وأكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله ربنا الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل الله أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صل على محمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وعجل فرجه.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك زيادة في العلم صحة في الجسم طولا في العمر طولا في القلب مغفرة بعد الموت راحة عند الموت ونجاة من النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته وأقوال. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله لم يكن له كفوا أحد سبحانك اللهم ربنا الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان ربنا العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صل على الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوة إلا الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صل على محمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر وبحول الله وقوته يقول الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صل على محمد الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا ربي برحمة ربك ضعيف الله الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليكم أيها النبي ورحمة الله السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
صل على محمد اللهم اكمل وليك صلواتك عليه وعلى السلام عليك يا قريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معينا الغرف والمشفى السلام عليك يا انس النفوس السلام عليك يا ايها المسؤول يا البشير السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب الرسول الأمانة السلام عليك يا شريف السلام عليك يا إمام السلام عليك يا قامع الكفر والطغيان السلام عليك يا شافع الجند والعدوان عجل الله تعالى فرجك وصلى الله تعالى محاجك ورحمة الله
درود بر آل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد نعره تکبیر الله نعره تکبیر الله نعره رسالت یا رسول الله نعره رسالت یا رسول الله حتی امام نعره حیدری یا علی حتی امام نعره حیدری یا علی درود بر آل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد درود بر آل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد
सबसे पहले तो मोमिन से माजरत चाहता हूँ कि मैं दरअसल कुछ सालों से नोहा खानी करता रहा हूँ तो सलाम या मरसिया खानी का उतना कुछ इल्म है नहीं मेरे पास जितना मुझसे हो सकेगा मैं नौकरास का हाजिर सलावत पढ़िएगा वर मोहम्मद अम्मा हरे अम्मा रुखा न शिमरे लगी मेरे बैन से सते कदम थी दूर ये ज़ैनब हुसैन से भाई भाई पुकारती रही मैं फिर भी खंजर नहीं रुका अम्मा भाई भाई पुकारती रही मैं अरे फिर भी खंजर नहीं रुका अम्मा और शिमर ने की फिर ऐसी गुस्ताखी मुझसे देखा नहीं
और तुम जो जुल्फे सवारा करती थी, उन्हीं जुल्फों में हाथ था उसका, जहाँ बोसे दिए थे नाना ने, उसी गर्दन से खूंट टपकता था। अरे सर शबीर यूं उठाए हुए शिमरी खेमे तक आ गया। अम्मा भाई भाई, और देख कर मुझे को बैन करते हुए, शिम्र हर बार मुस्कुराता रहा। मेरी नजरों के सामने जालिम अरे वार गिन कर छुरी चलाता रहा। है तेरा ज़रबे कुर्द खंजरता और शबीर का गला। अम्मा भाई भाई, चारों जानिब से घेर रखा था तेरे नूरे नजर को लश्कर ने। तीर बरसाता था कोई उस पर, कोई पत्थर से मारता था उसे। हाय रेत जख्मों पे वो गिराता रहा, जिसको पता नहीं मिला। अम्मा भाई भाई, और तेग जिस दम कोई चली उस पर, हाय अब्बास कह के रोया था। तीर पेशानी पे लगा जिस दाम, हाय असग़र जुबा पे आया था। हाय अकबर पुकारा भैया ने, जब भी नेज़ा कोई लगा। अम्मा भाई भाई, और आखिरी शेर पेश कर रहा। पुकारती रही मैं फिर भी खंजर नहीं रुका। अम्मा, और जनाब सैयद अपनी माँ से कह रही है जब चलाया था शिमर ने खंजर, मैंने आँखों से अपनी देखा था। हाथ अपने उठा के पहलू से, अरे तूने सूखे गले पे रखा था। उंगलियां जख्मी हो गई होगी, हाथ मुझसे तो ना छुपा। अम्मा भाई भाई, पुकारती रही मैं फिर भी खंजर नहीं रुका। अम्मा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
Few more minutes inshallah. Yeah, I wanted to recite something in English as well so the youngsters can relate to as well. Bismillah. Salawat palega bar Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
मेरे साथ साथ मिलके पढ़ेगा। बिस्मिल्लाह। Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Bismillah Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain Salams on the head of my Mawla Hussain Salams on the lips of my blessed Hussain for days in the desert your body remains with thousands of arrows your shroud they became and on Arba'in where the millions will pray the grief and the mourning for you Ya Hussain Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain the screams of the children thirsty for water the duty was sent to Abbas our Savior the Lion of God could be seen riding fast to reach Al-Furad and to please his Sakinah. But how does he fall from the horse with no hands? The flag of Islam laying bare on the sun. Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain a lady was seen peering out from the tents a cry from the heavens that Zahra presents oh shimmer why on his chest the sword stained in blood was Hussein's final test. Hussain, to your mother it's time to ascend. Your trials in Karbala have come to an end. Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed Shaheed al-Hussain Sakina would cry every night for her father and Zainab would cradle Hussein's little daughter but when they presented his head on a platter Sakina could not bear to live any longer but no one could comfort or smooth young Sakina. She died in the prison with Zainab beside her. Hussain al-Gharib al-Gharib al-Hussain Hussain al-Shaheed al-Shaheed al-Hussain.
Allahumma salli ala takbir,
Allahu Akbar,
Nare takbir,
Allahu Akbar,
Nare risalat,
Ya Rasulallah,
Nare risalat,
Ya Rasulallah,
Hakka Imam Nare Hadari,
Amin.
Hakka Imam Nare Hadari,
Amin.
Duw Park Muhammad Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
سورة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العاصون ولا يعد حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدرك بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، الذي ليس له صفة حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود. أما بعد، صلى الله على سيدنا مولانا حبيب الله العالمين وخاتم النبيين وخلق عظيم أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وصلى الله على من هو عند الرسول أخي وابن عمي ووسي ووارثي وموضع سري، أبو الحسنين مولى القونين إمام الثقلين يعصوب الدين رئيس الموحدين قائد الغر المحجلين والسيد المتقين أمير المؤمنين أسد الله الغالب غالب على كل غالب مدحر العجائب علي بن أبي طالب.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، يا باب نجاة الأمة، يا عبرة لكل مؤمن ومؤمنات، غريب مظلوم كربلاء. فيا ليتني يا ليتني كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وإذا مرضت فهو يشفين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. How do you know when you are sick or unwell? Normally, one of two things happens. Either you feel pain in a certain part of your body, which indicates there's something not right, or you see some visual signs of your body that a symptom of a sickness has been seen. Either a discoloring or a discharge or something which looks wrong. It feels wrong or it looks wrong. And through these means, you might then know that there is some problem inside my body which I may now diagnose and heal. We take such good care of the body when it comes across sicknesses. But when the heart comes across sicknesses, we often remain silent. When we would run to the doctor, alhamdulillah we have the doctor here, and we would rush to them on the first sign of trouble for this jism,
When the qalb has a sickness, why do we not take it as sufficiently serious to seek help for it? It seems like the body, the stakes of the health of the body is dunya. You can either increase the quality of your life or to some degree the length of your life, but that's about it. But when it comes to the qalb, if you don't treat the sicknesses of the heart, all through this sickness, so we can tell what one is more worth healing. This thing is not right, that I go through life looking at more for the health of my body and not my soul. Sometimes the body shows signs and you recognize them, but our heart is continuously showing signs that something is not right, and we keep ignoring those words. Those symptoms, that pain that we feel, or the signs, the idharat of our suffering, we often brush it over and don't treat it as a problem. For example, if you had an issue with your eyes, if your eyes were not working, you couldn't see properly, you'd go to the optician, you'd get those eyes seen. You'd see it as a problem. But if these eyes don't cry in salat, why is that not a problem? Is that not an even bigger problem? That there's something wrong with my prayer? Another example, if your body was in continuous pain, or a part of it was in pain, you would see that as an issue worth dealing with so you're not in discomfort. But what if you go to prayer and don't get any comfort from that prayer? Is that not a problem? That I would go to the doctor for the physical pain of the body, but why don't I seek help for the spiritual problem that I'm just not enjoying my prayer? What is the point of that prayer then? Let's say that my hands and fingers were no longer sensitive to different sensations like heat and cold. So I couldn't tell what's hot and cold in front of me. And my nerves are not working. I would seek a specialist for this because my nerves are not detecting what's in front of me. But when I see dhulm and oppression, homelessness and suffering and war, why don't I feel sad for a second about those things? Why am I so used to the problems of the world doesn't affect me anymore? This is not right. Something is wrong with me that this is the case. This is a kind of sickness. If it was the physical alternative, you would have seen me at the front line in the GP. But when it comes to spiritual side, why don't I seek that help? I'll give you one more example. If one of your organs was not communicating to a different organ, I mentioned many medical examples and I'm shy that I'll get corrected off and then by our dear doctor. If one part of your body was not communicating with the other part, let's say the lungs were not communicating how much blood is oxygenated which is going to the rest of the body. Let's say the liver was not so the liver was not, these organs were not communicating the health of that one. That would be a problem for that one organ and it would affect all of the other parts of the body. We are told in our narrations this ummah is like a body. We're told this. And the person who does not wake up and think of their fellow believer is not themselves a mu'min. I don't think of someone else as part of myself, as if they're an organ who affects me as an organ. Is this not enough of a problem to seek help? As you can tell from the point I'm making, we might have in us certain spiritual problems we are ignoring or don't know the name of what to give them. Now, here comes, in the face of all of these problems, here comes Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, to remind us of this, that وَقَدْ جَعَلْتَكُمْ طَبِيبٌ نَفْسَكُمْ. You have been made a doctor of yourself. Imam Sadiq says this. That's why you are here. You are here to be a tabib for your own nafs. Then he says, you will find in yourself sicknesses and illnesses, and you will be accounted for how much you cured those illnesses. Here comes the majlis again. This majlis which we are in, and every majlis you go to, is a hospital for the sick. It's not just a place to come, it's a place to be healed. People come here with the worst and most difficult spiritual trials, and they leave like Hur. They leave like Habib, like Burair, like Nafi. They leave like Muslim bin Awsajah. They come like Yazid. They leave like Hussain. Majlis can do this. It can transform the heart of the individual. Now the question comes, am I ready to view this majlis and the majlis as a place to heal from my own spiritual sickness? The way I go to the doctor and I'm so ready for that medicine, am I ready to come here and take something that will cure me? One of the ulama says, look, people will answer in 3 ways to this question. First way is denial. Let's say I've not really got a problem. I've come to majlis for fada'il and masa'ib, and inshallah we do our duty and we go back home. That person is denying the illnesses in themselves. for all insan who are not masoom have these in different ways spiritual problems. And they don't see that it's a problem which is worth fixing. In the same way someone's been told they've got an illness, they deny they've got the illness. First stage, they deny that I've got cancer, I can't believe it's not possible, it must be someone else, check the results again. Okay, the next stage a person might go through is delaying. They say, look, I'm young, I should enjoy life and work on these spiritual problems when I'm older. Like now is the time to play and enjoy and have a good life and indulge in this dunya. And you know what? Okay, I'll go to Hajj when I'm old and when I've done everything that I needed to do. That person is delaying their treatment. Third type, depression. Someone says, I have done so many sins and I have done so many things that are wrong. I don't think I can be cured or healed. And there are people who think like this. The illness is in their mind as well as in their body. We can be like this too. We don't think that we can be healed because I've just done way too many bad deeds. Ahlul Bayt say, no, it's not the way to look at it. Don't think of it as denial or depression or delaying. Come to the door of Ahlul Bayt sick, we will heal you. In today's Majlis, inshallah, I will go through for all of you what a sick heart looks like, what a healthy heart looks like, in the words of Ahlul Bayt. And how this Majlis, when viewed in the right way, can cure and heal you from the problems you are going through. And you might have thought, there's nowhere else I can gain that happiness or pleasure inside, but this Majlis will not let you down. It has never let anyone down and won't let you down either. To get to the point, there's a certain point I want to take all of you to, and I'll tell you when it is, but we have to go through a few steps to get there. But the first one starts with all of you reciting Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
And one more Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
And one more Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
In the Quran, there is many discussion of what a healthy heart is and what a sick heart is. The words associated with a healthy heart are often words like salim, qalbun salim. The verse says, وَالْيَوْمَ لَا يَنْفُعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On that day, neither your children will help you, nor will your wealth help you. إِلَّا the one who comes to Allah بِقَلْبٍ salim, with a peaceful heart. So there's such thing as the equilibrium state of heart where you are at peace. It exists. Quran says on that day of judgment, that's the heart you'd want to bring. Okay. Also, this qalb, this heart which we are striving towards, is qalb which is qalbun shaheed. This comes in the Quran as well. When the heart is so clean, it bears witness to the deeds that you did. So if you did right deeds, the heart bears witnesses of the right deeds you did. If you did sin, the heart bears witness. It's honest, it's true. If you were here a few days ago, we discussed the battle inside the qalb, and we looked at the different forces inside. Qalbun shaheed is that heart which simply bears witness to La ilaha illallah. And it has not done so many sins that either in words or actions the person is against La ilaha illallah. A person who believes in kufr, not Allah, their heart will not proclaim La ilaha illallah. But a person who believes in Allah, but their actions are in contrary, that heart will not be saying there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Qalbun shaheed is your heart speaks for your tongue. That's what determines who you are. So your health comes from the heart. Also, qalbun mubin comes up in the Quran as well. Qalbun mubin is that qalb, that heart, which is already inclined towards Allah and it is clearly there for God. That when the time for prayer comes, the heart rushes towards ibadah. Time for majlis comes, you rush towards coming to the majlis. Open the Quran, your heart rushes towards. You know, وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. That's these types of people. Those who rush against one another to get closer towards ibadah. The healthy competition of two warriors on the battlefield, trying to show one another who can defeat more enemy, but out of love for one another. Some worship God like this. They encourage each other to come to worship God together. Let's go to the mosque together. Let's read Quran together. Let's do our command together. Qalbun mubin. At the same time, there's some hearts which are the opposite. For example, marad. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرض. There are some hearts, Quran says, which have in them a sickness, and Allah increases their sickness. Through the deeds they do, there's some sickness. Marad is the word used. In Arabic, if you say, the person is not well, he's marad. Qalb can be marad. Also, the qalb, the heart which we have inside of us, as well as being sick, the qalb can be nakhsha, which means the one which fears. Not fearing Allah, which fears ghayr Allah. It fears dunya too much to let go of dunya. Heart is in fear. It fears letting go of habits it is accustomed to. The heart is accustomed to a certain habit. It fears letting go of an addiction. Now what would I be without this addiction? Qalbun nakhsha, the Quran calls that heart. And also you have qalb which is qalbul rijs, which comes up in the Quran. Some qulub, some hearts have in them different portions of rijs, impurity. That impurity causes sin. Sin comes from the feature of the heart in itself. So when you read إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ, when you read those words, it means Ahl Bayt are only those people who have no rijs in their hearts, whereas others have allowed it to gather inside their qalb. Insan can remove rijs from their heart, but they should acknowledge when it exists inside of them. The idhar of this is when the verse continues, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضٌ وَصُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ. Those people are deaf, dumb and blind. You come to them with proof, they can't see that proof anymore. You speak the words of truth, their ears just don't listen. When the time comes for them to walk towards the truth, it's as if they don't know where they are going. They can't see, they can't hear, and they can't speak. You say to them, what do you think of this verse of Quran? What do you think of truth? They repeat the same things they've heard before. Summun bukmun umyun famahum jahannam, the verse says. And for them the place is Jahannam. Wa akthara, most of their deeds that they do, وَزِدْنَاهُمْ سَعِيًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases their sickness in hell. It continues. The symptom of their sickness is their deafness, their dumbness, their blindness. When hidayah comes to them, they don't cling onto it like they should have. Inshallah, we are not like these people. Ahl al-Bayt show us what a healthy heart looks like and not what a sick heart looks like. Ahl al-Bayt. That's why we follow them as examples. Their heart is already clean and pure. So the idea is, well, if my heart's not clean and pure, I have sicknesses, surely I want someone who's already cleaned their heart already. Who will guide me except them? But in the books, there's different narrations about how the Ahlul Bayt cleaned their heart from sickness. There's one fabrication, which you may have heard, where they say the Prophet's heart was opened by an angel, and the angel goes to the qalb and finds in it sickness. And with snow, which you have in deserts, as all of you know, he removes the sickness of the qalb, patches up the heart, and then he becomes ma'soom. This is in some books. This has many theological problems, we won't go into, but here's one of them. If the Prophet is worth following, what's more beautiful? He cures himself, like the Imam says, or someone else cures him? If a angel is coming to him, opening his heart, cleaning his heart and closing it up for him in some kind of horror film surgery, what is the khub of the Prophet in doing good deeds then? He didn't clean himself, an angel did it for him. But when he's all night in prayer, and the companion says, we have seen the swollen legs of Rasulullah in ibadah. If he cures his heart for that prayer, surely that's more worth following. The Prophet had cured himself so much, he became worthy of being a prophet. It's not that he became a prophet and he became pure. He cured sickness first, then he became a prophet. Only with a pure heart was he worth receiving wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask yourself this question. Why does the Prophet get revelation? Why him? Of all the people in the world, why this person? We are told that the Quran's true origin is sound. It's not words, it's not written down, it's sound. It's literally an audio. And in the alam of Malakut before this world, it was a different type of sound than this one, but it was immaterial. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then spoke this sound. Some ulama discuss what is kalam ilahi. One is this, that the kalam came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One angel heard it for the first time, and it was something which was heard, not something known in Allah's essence. The moment it's heard, the order comes, baligh, tell the Holy Prophet about this. So that angel then goes down the darajat of all the angels until it reaches the angel of messenger, yani Jibreel. Jibreel comes through every 7 levels of the heaven, after 7 levels of the heavens, to the earth, to the lowest level of this earth, ad-daniya, the lowest ad-dunya, comes to the Prophet. He then whispers sounds to the... It's still sound, it's not written, it's sound. The same immaterial noise from the heavens. He whispers it to Rasulullah. Sometimes the Prophet's body becomes tired from it, sometimes his body becomes, exhausted from it, because it's heavy to hear an immaterial sound in a material world. And it's whispered where? To the qalb of the Prophet. That's why he's ma yantiku anil hawa. He doesn't speak anything except what is the truth. Now it's still sound. It's still literally a sound from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He needs to speak it out himself. So when he says those words, iqra, I speak now, I was told to speak, for the first time it's actually heard on this dunya. Before then you don't hear wahi. It's simply an immaterial sound. But it's not enough just to be heard. Someone needs to hear it to finish the transaction of wahi. And that's where Ali ibn Abi Talib comes in. Where he says, every time the Prophet received wahi, I was with him when he heard this noise. I was around him, I was with him. There was a time when there was no one except me, him and Jibreel. And I heard that wahi. When the sun was moved from its position, all of you know this narration, the Prophet says to Ali, he was lying on his chest, why didn't you stand up so that we could pray salah? Imam Ali says, you know how you didn't move because you heard revelation? I could hear the same revelation. So even my body couldn't move from the sound of wahi coming from Jibreel. It sounds, but that sound can only go to a qalb which is qalbun salim. And that's the Holy Prophet. He's the one who's purified his heart so much, he's ready to receive that pure knowledge of God. Sallallahu Alaihi Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
When we are sick, when we have sickness in our own lives, we naturally go back to Ali Muhammad, but of course first we go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who is yashfi. Do you not read in every Shahr Ramadan, Allahu yashfi kulli marid, Allahumma yashfi kulli marid. Oh Allah, be the one who is the source of curing every marad, every sickness. Marid here comes from marad. Marad is a type of, it's a mistaq of fasad. It's a form of fasad. Fasad is when something was right, in equilibrium, it was fine, and something was moved out of its position. And because it's been moved, it is wrong. This is marad. When you're sick, something's not right. It's been taken away from its normal position. Islah is like this. Islah is the same thing. When Imam Hussain says, I'm seeking out to reform the ummah of my grandfather, it's because something's been taken out of its position. Islah is to put it back to where it should be. Sickness is like this. Something's gone out from where it should be. Allahumma yashfi kulli marid. Allah, you are the one who takes everything which has gone out of its place and you put it back together. You are the one who brings it together. And that's why when we have a physical sickness, we go to God, just like spiritual sickness. And having physical health is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No doubt it's a blessing. We can't ignore that. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
In Dua 15 of Sajjadiya, anyone who's not feeling well, this dua is for them. Dua 15, Sahih Sajjadiya. He says, I thank Allah for my good health, for this good health has given me the joy of His worship. Because I'm healthy, I enjoy ibadah. So I thank Him for this good health. And he says, I can't finish thanking Him for this, for two blessings. One of them is this blessing, that He gave me good health so that I will be eager to go back towards Him. Sometimes we think that when we are sick, we are unwell, this is itself the problem. Because we're judging our whole life based on our physical body. If you're well, life is good. If you're sick, life is bad. If you look at life where your qalb is the most important thing after your jism, you'll be okay with physical illness so long as your spiritual illness is fine. You'll tolerate the most difficult illnesses in your body. Because you know that even though I'm suffering in my body, my qalb is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe through this physical suffering, I can go back towards God. For example, the Holy Prophet says, if you knew. So I've just mentioned the benefit of being well. Now I'm showing the benefit of even being unwell. Because both come from yashfi. My Prophet says, if you knew how much reward there was in being sick, being unwell, you would wish to die in that state of sickness. For your sickness is kafara for your sins. I've combined two different narrations together. Sick kafara for sins. I've done so many sins on this world. Every time I'm unwell, that act of being unwell is a form of kafara for those sins. It's one less punishment I will receive in barzakh. It's a blessing from God in some ways to be ill. The Holy Prophet says, a certain maqam of Allah you can't reach unless you are marad, unless you are unwell. Because you understand how you are muhtaj on God when you're sick. Ali says there are some sins which won't be removed except when you are unwell. Imam Sadiq says when a person's unwell and they say even that is the name of God. He sees a servant around him. The servant is complaining of the illness. The Imam says to that person, who is the one who's your Lord? That Allah is my Lord, Allah will cure me. Imam says, because you have this ma'rifah, that noise you make of is ibadah. And it's a name of God, for it reminds you who gave you sickness can take it away from you. Allahumma yashfi kulli marid. Sickness, health, both from God. Both of those things. And when it comes to the heart, same thing. Allah created us, gave us this qalb. If there's something not right in the qalb, we go back to Allah to cure that heart. And where do we go to cure this heart? What do we do? One of the prophets says, the prophet says he was ill and he would not take any medicine of any sort. None. The Imam then comments on the Prophet and says, why would he not take Prophet when Allah was there for him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I have made for every illness a cure except death. If you have a sickness, go to him. The hadith says, Imam Sadiq says, the man should have known Allah creates for you every form of shifa, and that's your shifa. And then he says, ذِكْرُنَا أَحْلُ الْبَيْتِ شَفَاءً. We are a shifa. For example, we are shifa. Mentioning our names is shifa. Then he says, giving sadaqah, shifa. Imam Ali says, when you read Quran, every verse you read is like one sprinkling of water to cure one part of the sickness of your heart. Then he says, the one who has Quran, who is sick, needs nothing else. The one who's sick without Quran needs this Quran. It's a cure for them. It is ala bidhikrillahi tatma'inna al-qulub. So when we read in Dua Kumail that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ya man ismuhu dawa wa dhikruhu shafa, O one whose name is shafa for us and dhikr is ibadat, Imam Sadiq says we are that shafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come through us. Quran and Ahlul Bayt, like I just mentioned, both of these things. Now I say this to all of you, and I come to where I wanted to bring all of you. So this very is where I wanted to come. We're all on the same page now. We get it. We have sickness in us. We need to cure this sickness. We go to Ahlul Bayt. We go to the Quran. If I saw deen as anything less than this, I would have hurt myself. Dharamtu nafsi could mean this. That I was unwell. And I didn't go to the place which was always promising the cure has always been here. But I didn't think that I should come here for my cure. I'm not well. I'm not happy. I don't enjoy life. I have some issue in my life. Why don't I come to Majlis to cure that problem as well? There's one khutbah from Nahj al-Balagha where Nabi Islam describes the Holy Prophet and describes how the Prophet is the man and from him comes the idea that even if you are sick, you don't go to Ahlul Bayt to cure yourself. They come to you to cure you. That's how they are. You don't go to them. They come to you. They remember you before you remember them. And he mentions in Sermon 108 of Nahj al-Balagha a beautiful section of who's the Prophet. He says, the Holy Prophet, he says, it was Tabibun Dawarum bit-Tibbih. He was a prophet who would walk around with his instruments. I'll read the extra khutbah over here. Tabibun Dawarum bit-Tibbih. He was like a roaming physician, Rasulullah. قَدْ أَحْكَمْ مَرَاحِمِهَا. He would walk around with his ointments. وَعَمْسِي مَوَاسِمِهَا. And he's carrying in his hands his instruments to cure people. يَدَعُ مِنْ ذَلِكَ حَيْثُ الْحَاجَةِ. Wherever he saw someone in need, he'd bring himself to them. And he'd cure them. حَاجَ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ قُلُوبِهِ نَعْمِي. If he found a blind heart, he'd cure it. وَلَعْنَ سُمِّي وَالْسِرَةُ بُكْمٌ. If he found a deaf ear or a mute tongue, he would bring himself to them. مُتَتَبِعًا بِدَوَارِهِ مَوَاسِمُهُ. And he would walk around with his medicine looking for places of ghafla to cure. Wherever he found hayra, he'd cure that person. We go to the doctor to cure ourselves. Ahlul Bayt come to us to cure us. You see the difference? We wait in line for the doctor and in line on the telephone for doctors to cure us. We book appointments. When we know you're well, we come to you to cure you. Where else is shafa or dhikr than from this family? Bi Fatima in her khutbah says, when she's speaking to all those zalimeen against the haq, she says to them, a prophet came to you. He saw you were all sick and unwell. He was humble and had empathy for your sickness. So he cures you. And some people collected from him the idea of being cured. Some people were still remaining like animals before he came. He was my father, not your father. He cured from this house, not from your house. Zahra says this to her own enemies, so they know Shafa comes from this family. Now come back to Nahj al-Balagha. Muhammad Islam says, Prophet is like this, a roaming doctor. Wherever he sees sickness, he goes. Then he says, some people saw him and received help from him. Some denied him. Some grazed like animals and cattle. Some didn't. Some had hard stones in their heart. Some humbled their hearts when they saw Rasulullah. The mi'yar of haq and batil is whether or not you allow Rasulullah to cure the sickness of your heart. Then he says, Islam, if ever you read Nahj al-Balagha, there's a line where you're following. Then he mentions something and you have no idea what he's talking about because he's on his own different realm. He does it in this khutbah as well. So far he says, Prophet, Roman physician, I get it. He has instruments with him. The Quran and Ahlul Bayt, he cures you. I get it. Some didn't accept, you get it. Then the Imam says, what is the matter with you? To the people in front of him, وَمَا لَكُمْ. I see some of you as spirits with no body, some of you as bodies with no spirits. Some of you have deeds but no goodness in them. Some of you have speech but no truth in them. Some of you walk but with no destination. Some of you speak but with no aim. Then he says, some of you around me, in front of me, you are with me, it's as if you are dead. Some are dead but as if they are with me. And he says, you will not understand what I am saying until you ponder on these words. So maybe he's diagnosing the sickness in front of them. But he's realized for them, some people don't look at Ahlul Bayt like this, but we should. If I have an issue, mentioning the name of Ahlul Bayt can cure that problem. Whether it's a physical issue or non-physical issue. But like the Prophet who was wrong, Imam Sadiq says, he should have known Allah creates for him cures to be healed by Allah directly. Two of those cures is Quran or Ahlul Bayt. Reading Quran is like what? It is like segments of medicine for different portions of your heart. And Ahlul Bayt are like doctors who come to you. Who brought you to this majlis if not Ahlul Bayt? Who gave you names like Ali and Qadir and Hassan except Ahlul Bayt? Who taught you to wear black in Muharram if not Ahlul Bayt? All of your izzah comes from them. They brought you towards themselves. Because they brought you, now you may be healed. Ahlul Bayt did this continuously. All for their life they heal people. Go to Khaybar. Imam has a sickness in his eye. The Prophet had put saliva on his eye and cured him. One day Abu Dhar is not well. Prophet says, Ali, why don't you go and cure him while he's not well? They go and they cure him. Whenever they saw someone unwell, they would cure them. And this same thing happens after they die as well. How many of you have been to a majlis? Someone is crying in majlis with a sick child. When they go home, their child has treatment for their illness. People cry near the alam. People cry near these things. They work. We've seen it in front of us. Imam Rida alayhi salam's haram. I read an article recently where they were compiling all the miracles of 1 month in the haram of Imam Rida alayhi salam. In 1 month, a person was paraplegic, they were healed. A person couldn't see, they had a vein popping out the eye, the vein was healed. One person couldn't have children. 3 mothers came, they had children after they went to Imam Rida alayhi salam. Even after they die, they still give healing to those who come towards them. We don't go to them, they come to us. I don't have to ask them about these things. I just humble myself in front of them and they come and heal the sickness in you. The Prophet is who? He knows what's wrong with you and he gives you what you need at your time in your life. And you want more example about that, Ali? Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Aba Abdullah. Example. This story comes from Ayatollah Gulbegani's son, who is the son-in-law of Ayatollah Khoi, marhum. He said, I was in my house. And I have a very small house in Najaf, it's not that large, and we don't have that much opportunity to study that much. But my wife would have majalis in the house during days of Muharram, and it would disturb my studies. You know, ladies like this, it would be quite loud. It would disturb my studies. So I said to her, stop the majlis because it's disturbing my studies. She stopped the majlis, she listened to her husband, and they carried on with their life. He says, from that day onwards, I had a pain in my eyes. And I couldn't see properly, but I could still see, but it was paining when I opened my eyes. From that day onwards. And nothing would help, nothing would cure that sickness. I went to sleep. In my sleep I saw a dream, and in the dream Ahlul Bayt spoke to me and said to me, because of what you said, you were meant to have been blind. But because of your tawassul of Ahlul Bayt, we saved you from blindness and just gave you this pain. If you want to remove the pain completely, go and find some khak of Karbala, put it on your eyes. Scholar says, I woke up, I found some khak, I put it on my face, and my eyesight was restored. Abu Abdullah has been killed in Karbala, but even today his earth gives sickness to cure. The blood of Hussain has already been spilled, and yet all of the earth around there cures our sicknesses. I could be waiting for years and years of a specialist, but there's no specialist like Sipa-e-abbas alayhi salam. No Bab al-Hawaj like this door. 1 month of the mu'jizat, the karamat of Imam alayhi salam is enough for a whole letter that you could write. Imagine 1 year, imagine since his death until now. All it comes from who's buried over there. So to bring all these things together in one conclusion for all of you, inshallah. We have illnesses and sicknesses in us. And we have to not ignore the symptoms when we see them. I mentioned a few of them. If I'm not enjoying my prayer, I'm not enjoying reading Quran, my heart doesn't naturally go to worship. Something's not right here, I should just ignore it. Something's wrong. But it can be cured, like every illness can be cured. And when you come to Quran and Ahlul Bayt, you find they have been built to cure you. They are made to be shafa'at for us. So we should not come to majlis or these gatherings without this intention that if I have an illness, there's nothing I bring here that can't be cured when I leave outside from here. We pray inshallah all our sickness can be cured بحق سيد الشهداء صلى الله عليه محمد. How merciful are Ahlul Bayt. How kind are Ahlul Bayt. They cure us even when they themselves are unwell. They give us comfort when they are uncomfortable. They give us water when they are thirsty. How merciful are this family. They will walk barefoot from Kufa to Shaam, but watch that we have shelter in our lives. This family is so kind. When do we say thank you for what they have done for us? We can thank Abu Abdullah, we can thank Sajjad. When did we thank Sughra and Sakina? These children who are here for us and give us shifa today, when do we thank them? Today I wish to speak a little bit about Bibi Sakina alayhi salam. Even saying her name is difficult. Even saying her name loudly is difficult. For the name of Sakina already brings grief. Sakina. Abu Abdullah says the house for Sakina is not, there's not a house I wish to be happy in. where this girl is, the Prophet is happy, the Imam is happy. But in these ayam, these layal of grief, there is no happiness in the life of Sakina. There is no sleep in the sleep of Sakina. But did she not say, I do not sleep unless I'm lying on the chest of my father? Now look, there is no chest, there's only one head on the spears of her father. And this girl is not able to sleep at night. There are many times in the maqtal, I myself am shocked when I read, why continuously does this girl have dhulm again and again and again? What was her crime? This 4-year-old girl of Sakina of Ruqayya, what did she do wrong for her crime? There are many times in the books where they say, Sakina was doing one thing, but when she saw Shimr, she would hide from him. Continuously. On one occasion, Shaam-e while she's there looking for water, he walks towards her. She says, do you have any water? I'm still thirsty for the last 3-4 days. Shimr says, I'll give you water. Come towards me. He holds out water. As she looks, he drops it in front of her. The water falls to the ground. One scholar I've heard says, maybe Sakina fell to the ground and tried to scramble her fingers on the wetness, on the moisture of the dust. Watching the water fall in front of her. Another narration says, when she's walking, she says, I'm thirsty, I wish for water. One line comes and says, do you want water? Look, this is the head of your father, Abu Abdullah. Look at this place. Why did this girl deserve so much pain in her life? One narration says that when Sakina, so now you know she's always hearing the same thing. When Shimr comes, she runs away. I read recently on the night of Muharram, night of Ashura, Shaam-e-abbas, when Sakina is running from back to back, to and fro from the maqtal, she sees Shimr. The book says, when she runs away from him because she knows she'll only get the mercy from this man. As she runs away, the narration says, Shimr takes his spear, turns it upside down, and with the back of his spear strikes the back of the head of Sakina. As she runs away, she falls to the ground. As she falls, the girl becomes behosh. The book says, when she opens her eyes, she sees Kulthum standing holding her. One hand on Sakina, one hand on her cheeks. Sakina says, Kulthum, why are you holding your cheeks? When she moves her hand, the same bruises on the face of Sakina is on the face of Kulthum as well. This family have suffered so much dhulm. This Sakina is now going from Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Shaam. Her cries are continuous, her weeping is continuous. There are narrations that when she's walking, as I mentioned yesterday, the chain is so tight on her neck, she can't stand properly. And the horse is so difficult for her to sit in with no saddle, she drifts from side to side. When they get to Shaam, they take her down from this horse and they are walking with this girl. She's looking around saying to her mother Zainab, where is my father Abu Abdullah? Where's my father Abu Abdullah? I see his head and the head of Abbas, but where's my father? I'm not used to being around this many men, or none of whom are my well friends and well wishers. They say when the time comes for this girl to go to her last few moments, what do you find? That just like on Shaam-e-abbas, when she said, I wish to have water, they brought for the head of Abu Abdullah. The same thing happened the night she died. She's crying, weeping in the zindan, saying, I wish for my father, I wish for my father. The lady says, if you want your father, take this to her. When they come to Sakina, what do they say? They say, you want your father? Here, take this, a tray with a lid on. Zainab says, Sakina, don't move the lid so you don't see what's underneath. This 4-year-old girl lifts the lid and sees the head of her father, Abu Abdullah. Sakina grabbed onto his head, holds it close to her chest, and starts speaking and mourning and weeping, saying, after you left us, this happened to us, and that happened to us, in Kufa, in Shaam. The narration says, as she's saying these words, she falls asleep, and in her sleep, she's shaheed. Now come to the different musibah of Sajjad alayhi salam. When they say Sakina dies, who will bury this girl in the zindan, except not Sayyid al-Sajjadin, the man who Shahadat will mourn for tomorrow. The one man in the zindan who goes to his knees and with his fingers he makes a small qabr for this girl is Sajjad. They say when they bury this girl, when he's about to bury her, the woman will come and say, what's the matter with this girl that you are burying her? They are told, because of her grief of her father, she's been shaheed. Then they say, was there some sickness or illness in this girl? Why they say? Because when we did the coffin of this girl, we found the parts of her skin have been mixed with the clothes. We can't rip her clothes from her body. We have never seen any illness like this before. Was this girl sick or mareed all her life? Zainab says, no, only since Ashura has she had illness. What illness? Zainab says, on Shaam-e-abbas, when the enemy came to us, they fired arrows. Some arrows had fire on them. Some fires set the tents alight. When I saw Sakina running, running. They say as she's running, her clothes caught her onto the time of the tent. Yani her whole body was in flames. I ran towards her. As she was running away, Shimmer was following her. As he followed her, sometimes she came towards me, sometimes towards Shimmer. As she was running, her skin had burned so much that the cloth of her body. Sajjad now buried this innocent Muslim girl. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Rida wa qadahi wa taslim bi amri. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. For the sake of this Mazluma girl, this Sakina, this Ruqayya, allow all of our young girls to be protected in your religion, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, for the sake of the Bimar of Karbala, let all of us who are Bimar be cured or learn to live with our Bimar, inshallah. Ya Allah, there is no sickness like the waiting of the grave of Imam alayhi salam. Allow us to be close to Imam and end the dhuhr of his suffering, inshallah. اللهم إني أسألك بحق فاطمة بها فعلي بنيها والسر ما استعوذه فيها عند سيدنا محمد وآله مات بن حسين.
يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا